There is a movement happening right now behind the scenes of global technology that could completely change how power is distributed around the world in the coming decades. And no, I'm not talking about a new social network. I'm not talking about another electric car either, and definitely not about a new smartphone. I'm talking about something much bigger than that. There is currently a strategy being developed that combines artificial intelligence with space infrastructure. And this combination could solve the biggest problem facing modern technology today: energy. And you might be wondering, what does this have to do with me? How does this affect my life? How does this impact my money? Well, the answer is everything. Because if this strategy actually works, we may be witnessing the birth of a new form of global power. A type of power that no longer depends only on territory, armies, or natural resources here on Earth, but on infrastructure beyond it. In recent months, analysts in the technology sector and even geopolitical experts have started to observe a movement that may seem technical at first glance, but carries massive implications. The idea is to integrate artificial intelligence technologies with space-based systems. In other words, connecting advanced computing with orbital capabilities. In practice, this means creating an ecosystem that combines rocket launch capabilities, satellite infrastructure, energy generation outside the planet, and large-scale data processing, all operating in an integrated way. And when you bring all of these elements together, you're not just creating a more efficient company, you're creating a new platform for strategic dominance. For centuries, control of the seas determined which nations prospered economically. Later, territorial control defined who led the global stage. But now, we are entering a new phase. A phase where control of space could become the decisive factor in determining who holds technological, economic, and even military advantage in the coming decades. This can already be seen through the use of private satellite networks in strategic operations, providing connectivity in regions where no terrestrial infrastructure can reach. In other words, space is no longer just a field for scientific exploration. It is becoming a geopolitical asset. But there's another extremely important factor in this equation, one that very few people are paying attention to. Today, there is a race happening among the world's largest economies, the race for artificial intelligence leadership. But this race doesn't depend only on better algorithms or more advanced chips. It depends on something much more basic. Energy. The data centers responsible for training artificial intelligence models consume enormous amounts of electricity. In some cases, the energy consumption of a single processing center can be comparable to that of an entire city. And here's the problem: artificial intelligence evolves in cycles of months, but building new power plants can take years or even decades. Electrical grids have load limits. And expanding traditional energy infrastructure is slow. The result is a dangerous mismatch. Technology is advancing faster than the infrastructure capable of supporting it, and this may become the biggest bottleneck in the artificial intelligence revolution. So what's the solution? Looking for energy beyond the planet. In orbital environments, solar energy is constant. There is no night, no clouds, no atmospheric interference. Solar radiation in space is more intense and available 24 hours a day. Even capturing a tiny fraction of that energy could generate more electricity than all of humanity currently consumes, and there's more. In space, cooling computational systems becomes much more efficient due to the vacuum environment. This dramatically reduces the amount of energy required to keep servers and processors from overheating, which means less energy wasted on cooling, more efficiency in data processing. But for decades, all of this was considered unfeasible for one simple reason: the cost of sending equipment into space was too high. But that has started to change with the development of reusable rockets. The cost per kilogram transported beyond Earth has begun to drop significantly. And if this trend continues, installing solar panels in orbit. Or even complete data centers in space moves from science fiction into strategic planning. Now, think about this. If computing can be powered by virtually unlimited energy, processing costs could fall. AI services could become cheaper. Virtual assistants could become more capable. Prediction systems, medical diagnostics, personalized education, and intelligent mobility could evolve at an even faster pace. In the medium term, this could mean More accessible technologies. More precise digital services, more stable connectivity, even in regions that are currently underserved. But in the long term, the impact could be even deeper. We could see global networks that no longer depend on Earth-based infrastructure. Computing at virtually unlimited scale, and entirely new markets linked to the space economy emerging for the average person. This could translate into more convenience, more automation, and greater access to technology. But it could also mean an increasing dependence on systems that operate invisibly, supported by infrastructure that will no longer be on the ground, but above it. Space may stop being just a distant setting and become an active part of the engine that drives the global economy and our everyday lives. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe this new technological space race could determine who leads the world in the coming decades? Or does it still seem too far away to become reality? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because this discussion is just getting started.